The Department of Justice has become so dysfunctional that they aren't even capable of prosecuting a crime when they have more than enough evidence. This is what's happened with Wall Street bankers. We know the crimes, we have the evidence, but the Department of Justice has done nothing because they've been directed to do nothing. Joining me now to explain that is Mike Burg. Mike, important investigation coming out of the Inspector General's office where they basically have to fall on their sword and say the FBI, the Justice Department, the FBI, everybody involved with trying to make sure that the Wall Street bankers don't get away with everything. These were the people that were supposed to be prosecuting the Wall Street bankers. The report says, if you read it and understand it, what a dismal disaster. Nobody goes to jail.
Well, first of all, no surprise for me that all this has come out because, as you know, we've been talking about it for probably 2-3 years that the Department of Justice, the FBI, really has had no interest in going after the big banks and the fraud they're committing on consumers. And it starts with the Obama administration. You and I know, and we've talked about it, is that their ties to these big law firms who represent these big banks, as well as their ties to the big banks, makes this no surprise at all. When Williams and Conley, who defends all the white-collar criminals, who, and all of them, if you go to Wall Street, you go to all the big-time criminals who are in politics, Williams and Conley is number one on the list when they're so close to the Obama administration that they're vetting and giving recommendations on federal judges and circuit court judges. There's no surprise that this administration and the Department of Justice has no interest in going after the biggest criminals in the United States.
What's so and by the way, not just Williams and Conley, Covington Burling, which is
yes.
Where our Attorney General Eric Holder comes from. He knows he has a job. Lanny Breuer, you recall, Lanny Breuer is the guy that had to resign from the Department of Justice because they started asking him questions, why haven't you prosecuted anybody? Then you find out that Lanny Breuer, also with Covington Burling, actually represents Wall Street. Then the person who replaced Lanny Breuer, it goes on and on. The woman who replaced Lanny Breuer just resigned. They asked her, well, why didn't you prosecute anybody on Wall Street? Why didn't you get the FBI involved in going after Wall Street? Come to find out, she resigns. She goes to work with Covington Burling. So there's no, look, this is a report that came directly from the Inspector General's office. And I think what's so agonizing about the report is even when they were telling the story, they tried to cover up the fact that where it came to serious kinds of prosecution, none really took place. One banker, I'm not making this up. People listening to this are going to think we're making this up. One banker that was involved with Goldman Sachs went to jail for something completely unrelated to all the fraud that burned down our economy. So, I mean, what's happening here, Mike? What is it that we can do about it if you have a Department of Justice and an FBI that intentionally is letting these bankers off the hook?
Well, I can tell you, just to add one thing, firsthand, we know, as you know, we were the first to follow and to file a case on the CDO collapse, the $7 trillion collapse. We still don't have a ruling. It's been going on since 2007. The politics that are being played, we had our judge removed. Our judge gave us a great order. He was sent to domestic relations. They put another judge in there. This judge has held the case for 3 years, and we have gone nowhere to go forward to really tell the truth of what happened in the collapse. So what can the public do?
And Mike, tell the politics of that judge. It's important to know where that judge came from, where that judge's ties are.
Yeah, let me tell you, the first judge we had in the state court of Connecticut was someone who had worked in the white-collar crime division, both at DOJ and also at the Attorney General's office. He got it. He understood what was going on. He made them, in one case, post a $50 million bond because of the likelihood that we were going to win. He issued an order that was on the front page of the Wall Street Journal in which he talked about what was going on with UBS and the rating agencies. And within 6 months, he was sent to domestic relations by the Supreme Court of the state of Connecticut, and we got another judge put in there who has done nothing but overrule him, hold the case, dismiss it on absolutely no basis for standing, gave us a rehearing, and we still don't have an order. We're in 2014. The case has been going on for 7 years, and it's because the politicians, in this case, the governor, who used to be the mayor of Stanford, is now the governor. He has close ties to UBS, and it's also the federal government not willing to do anything. So we're all trapped.
And let's not dance around this. This comes directly from President Obama. There is zero question that if President Obama really wanted to do what he promised he was going to do. You remember he was running. He said, I'm going to clean up Wall Street. Yes, they've stolen $13 trillion away from the American public. They have ruined mom and pop pension programs. They foreclosed on 5 million people that have lost their homes because of this disaster that was absolutely nothing more than a criminal scam. So he comes into office, he runs for office as if this really matters to him, as if he really takes this seriously. And now this report comes out and says this. Now, nobody took it seriously. Mike, let me ask you this. When you look at this report, it looks like the way they got around the problem of having to do anything to Wall Street bankers was to redefine what mortgage fraud was. Redefine what fraud was. Isn't that what happened here? They said, we're going to define the things we have to go after in such a way that we can justify not going after Wall Street. That's what the FBI did, that's what the Department of Justice did, and that's what the Inspector General's office did. Did I get that right?
You did, but it's even worse than that, in my opinion. It's like the guy, the magician, who makes you look over one way at a shiny object while he's pulling a trick out from under the table. That's what they're doing here. They're going after people like the one guy or somebody in the hinterland who did one little thing, this kind of inside trading where somebody made $1 million, and they're saying, see, we're going after somebody, when in fact, the $6 to $7 trillion that was stolen, they don't want you to look over there. It's sort of the Wizard of Oz. They don't look at the man behind the curtain. Look over at all this smoke and mirrors that we're throwing up. And that's what they're doing here. They're throwing up smoke and mirrors. What makes me crazy, and you know how crazy I get about all this stuff, is the poor guy who has no money, who's making minimum wage and can't feed his sick baby. He may go out and he may commit a crime and go forward. 7-Eleven, he's going to prison. But these guys who conspired and ruthlessly committed misrepresentation and fraud, and the list of crimes that these banks have done is endless.
Let's relive a couple of them. How about this? How about laundering money for the drug cartel? How about laundering money for terrorism? How about engaging in something where you know that what you're selling to your stockholders, you're selling to a guy on the street wants to buy shares of stock. You lie to him about the fact that this stock that you're selling actually has anything to back it up. That's how bad this fraud. How about this? Robo-signing, where where you actually have you have a machine that simply signs documents that absolutely falsify payments made before a house is foreclosed, who owns the paper on the house, who owns the title and the deed on the house, falsified. They caught them red-handed, and nobody goes to jail.
Right, and even beyond that, we got hiding money for tax cheats overseas. They caught the Swiss banks. There's been no prosecution of UBS over that, none at all. Even when they are going after the banks, this is what's laughable. When they're going after them for civil fines, all they're doing is getting back billions. We lent them the billions of dollars during the collapse, but the poor people who lost their houses because of this fraud get no compensation. Pension funds civil actions that are being brought, like the one we brought for a hedge fund that lost $100 million on what was complete fraud. The people and their investors, they get zero.
Being dismissed because the federal government is wanting this to happen. Right now, let me tell you, Democrats, just as bad as Republicans. Fortunately, you have Elizabeth Warren, you have Elijah Cummings, you have Maxine Waters are saying, damn it, we want some answers on this. We want some congressional hearings. Obama, Holder, you have held them up. You've prevented these congressional hearings. We want them now. So I think this story is going to continue to gel. We're going to follow it, okay? Thank you for joining me, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.